The Hemeroscopium House is like no other house. The house is an impressive combination of heavy infrastructural pieces and 20 tons natural stone. This building, which took about a year to engineer and only a week to build, can be considered the very essence of brutalist architecture. Because this building, in which not only the bare walls but also the floor and load-bearing system are fully exposed, pushes the limits of brutalist design. Place where the sun sets in Spain, that is very abstract of the Hemeroscopium House. I am from background in founder of BEA Plus, and I'm gonna talk about my personal thoughts about the Hemeroscopium House. Trying to escape the hustle and bustle of the Spanish capital, the house seeks shelter on the outskirts, in the town of Las Rosas. The imagination of the architects played a big role in the design of the building. This structure was seen as an object that would define the horizon line, be shaped by light and develop over time. Hemeroscopium means the place where the sun sets in Greek. The very name of the house, Hemeroscopium, makes reference to the horizontality underlying the composition of the building, expanding the boundaries in search of an interaction with the landscape. In its design, heavy structures and big actions, disposed in a way to provoke gravity to move the space, and this way it defines the place. The house was designed to trap a domestic space and a distant horizon through the play of structure and placing it in an apparently unstable balance. In addition, the program is laid out over a lower and more social level, characterized by free-flowing spaces and a volume in the upper level that accommodates the bedrooms. This works represents a balance between engineering and architecture, where the formal enclosure is blurred to let the views open up to the surroundings. This structure, which is formed as a spiral by overlapping these large structures like a pile, is derived from a single support and main beam. As we go up, we see that the structure becomes lighter. At the furthest point, there is a singular stone that closes this system and balance, the block that is 20 tons of granite that serves as a counter, called by its creators G. However structure is set, the house becomes aerial, light, transparent, and the space kept inside flows with life. Speaking of the spaces of this building is put to the imagination of space and light, windows surrounding environments, and invite all to participate in the gentle landscape of the mountains. Lighting become a lot more than just an illuminator in here. It becomes a mood setter, a symbol of a specific emotion the architect is trying to convey. Lighting becomes a floater, levitating the walls from the ground and making the space and giant beams seem lighter in weight. In addition, the patio on the ground floor offers a protected site but open to the wind. There is a pool located more conventional than the top floor. On this floor, there are spaces dedicated to the kitchen and large rooms. The upper floor is located the area of the bedroom. From one of them has access to swimming pool, whose end seems lost among the treetops. Water links the pieces in here as a sound element, mixing in the dialogue of singularity, an almost musical intonation using water as a spatial wrapper. Although I like this house so much, I think this house has some deficiencies in terms of accent and points of interest. If the maxim, the first impression, is the one that stays, is taken seriously, in architecture, the entrance hall takes on a fundamental importance, but you may have noticed that when we look at this building from the top, we cannot immediately find this entrance hall, and we will never know where the door is. This is due to the monotony of the color palette in this building. It would have been ideal to finish some of the building elements with a different colored concrete, especially for the entrance facade. Introducing a few colorful elements into an otherwise uniform environment can infuse color without overpowering or taking control of the space. Both in fashion and architecture, this approach is considered a safe and reliable technique as it adheres to principles of visual composition. Its safety does not diminish its effectiveness. The colored elements continue to attract the occupant's attention and establish focal points, albeit on a more modest scale. Also, my piece would be red for that color because, as Veronica Vreeland said, red is the great clarifier, bright and revealing. I can't imagine becoming bored with red. It would be like becoming bored with the person you love. This building, which is predominantly made of concrete, is also characterized by a high proportion of glass. Fostering a lighter architecture, glass has become an important material in the Hemeroscopium House. Thanks to the excessive proportions of these transparent surfaces, the huge load-bearing elements appear lighter and seem to float in the air, characterized by its transparency and versatility. It enables the creation of open spaces with seamless transitions between the interior and exterior. The structure therefore encourages people to enter. Steel and concrete, often associated with modern architecture, are utilized for their structural strength and minimalist aesthetics in here. The water element was employed as a binding element in this construction project. It is also a fact that it provides evaporative cooling against the hot air of Spain. The combination of these materials has resulted in the formation of a structure with a relatively cool ambience, although its visual appearance is more luminous than its actual composition would suggest. Also, the granite stone on the top expression of the force of gravity and a physical counterweight to the whole structure. In the interior, polished concrete on the floor and the joint gaps of this concrete are seen. Again, the high proportion of glass and the same floor material inside and outside allow the building to blend into its surroundings and create an invisible transition between the interior and the exterior. Steel stair and metal used in kitchen equipments accompanies the coldness brought by glass and concrete. Also, the juxtaposition of smoother, sleeker textures and finishes with more organic ones reflects a dynamic synthesis of old and new, and results in visually striking and functional spaces in here. Metal accents in visual interest and depth. Metals are chosen for their ability to create contrasts against prevailing organic materials, either in their natural shades or colored and frosted for dramatic effect. These metals are often to showcase meticulous craftsmanship, and when reflective, are strategically placed to amplify natural light and create a sense of luminosity within interiors. Although the brown and dense texture chosen on the sofa tries to give a feeling of warmth, the density of the surrounding materials prevents this. As a result, like the rest of the building, the feeling of coldness is in the foreground, but the choice of furniture and materials replaces the feeling of lightness in the building with a feeling of weight in this room. Considering all its features, the biggest feature that attracted me to this project was, if an architect wants his or her building to be a real experience, he or she must use forms and combinations of forms that lead the observer to make active observations. One way to create a strong impression is to use familiar forms in an unconventional way, thus surprising the observer and making him/her examine the building more closely. The Hemeroscopium House not only offers an unconventional experience, but also mesmerizes the viewer with its lightness effect. I have to say, this design is definitely up there with my favorite. It's far from the norm, and every part of this house is carefully considered.